Ma'am, we are live now. I request your I request your hello ma'am. Ma'am, we are live now. I request your permission to start the session, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
Hari Om everyone. A warm welcome to 34th session of our lecture series. A lecture series for the first year BMS and fourth year BMS students. The exclusive sessions will be taken up by the eminent speakers of anatomy, eminent speakers of the subject across the country for a period of 30 days, which started from 23rd of June and will be running up to 20th of July. Before starting the session, let me introduce you to Jignasa. Jignasa is a pan-India platform of Irish fraternity led by the student community of Bharata and was initiated by ABVP in the year 1998. Its motto is Learn Irish to Practice Irish. It involves empowering Irish students from campuses to communities, bridging the gap between Irish students and policymakers as well as administrative authorities, connecting every aspect of Irish, including students, academicians, practitioners, scientists, industrialists, and hospitals all under one umbrella. Think globally, act locally. In last 2 decades, our efforts were to strengthen the ICE education system and boost confidence among ICE students. Jignasa initiated various programs in different parts of the country, from grassroots to international platforms, through discussions, study circles, seminars, workshops, and conferences. Let me list a few initiatives undertaken by Jignasa, starting with study circles, lecture series on specific topics, free medical camps, social health status survey, hands-on training workshops, conferences to explore and learn unique aspects of Ayurveda, interaction with eminent Vaidyas and academicians, brainstorming session with eye stalwarts, policymakers, and key stakeholders of eye systems, National Arogya Expo and International Conference, national level seminars, medicinal plant visits, pharmaceutical visits, agitations for the demands of high student community, private internship program for interested students to learn with acharyas, interaction with traditional leaders and visits to explore regional flora, online mock tests, social awareness campaigns on various issues, campaigns for the promotion of various concepts of high system for social welfare like Swarna Bindu Prashana Camp, Ashtashatattara Yoga, Group Surya Namaskara, and various other competitions. Free healthcare assistance to people through local governing bodies during natural calamities and accidents were also provided by our organization. In our yesterday's session, more than 700 students joined for the live session and asked their queries regarding the subject and examination. And so far, we are proud to say that we have received more than 20,000 views for our lecture series videos on the YouTube channel. We hope to reach as many students as possible who can take maximum benefit out of this. Vidyanamannarasya Rupamadikam Prachanaguptam Dhanam. We have seen the inability of a common student to afford huge amounts on commercial study platforms despite their jignasa, the burning desire to learn. So, jignasa is here to give a helping hand, learn subject with the experts, and all we need is your immense interest to learn. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Ashwini, ma'am, BMS, MS, HOD Department of Shalakya, Sri Raghavendra Ayurveda Medical College, Maladialli, Chitradurga. Ma'am completed her UG from LNR Rao Ayurvedic Medical College, Koppa, and PG from GMC Bangalore in Shalya Tantra. Ma'am has teaching experience over 10 years and 7 years in Prasuti Tantra. At present, ma'am is working as HOD in Department of Shalakya at Maladialli in Chitradurga. Ma'am has done Panchakarma clinical practice at Punarvasu Ayurveda Chitradurga. Ma'am is also actively involved in public education in association with Vidya Bharati and has done various lecture and initiatives about Garbha Purva Shikshana and Garbha Samskara, preconception education and pregnancy education. Ma'am, we are delighted to have you on the session today and we welcome you to the session. And to each and everyone who is watching this, we hope you find this helpful. Ma'am, now I request you to carry this session forward.
Thank you, Karthik. I hope I'm audible. First of all, I am really happy to be associated with the lecture series of Jigyasa, and I'm uh, grateful and thankful to the Jigyasa team for providing the opportunity. So let us move on. So I just off my video. So I have gone with so many lecture series which are mainly aimed about how to study them, and they are really helpful. So when we concise to the Shalakya, see how to write one test. See, examination is not the ultimate, and for learning will not stop by the completion of the exam. So I hope exams are fast approaching, and by this time, most of the students have completed their most of the study with the intention of exam. But definitely, learning will not stop. So it is just for the exam sake. See, exams. When we talk about how we have to prepare exactly for the exam, there are three variety how the papers are prepared. So how the question papers are prepared for the intention of the exam. So they decide. They prepare with the by understanding three groups of students. The one is the question paper for the distinction students, the question paper for first class students, and the question paper for the average students. See, the questions in paper will be having all questions pattern which are which are targeting for all these two batches. So the students will be having all the questions which are targeting for all these two batches. So
Ma'am, you are on the screen, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible? Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are on the screen.
Hello.
Ma'am, you are on the screen, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, the screen is live now.
So the topic
Yes, ma'am, the
as
screen is live now.
the tips for child approaching and definitely need. So after once you have those areas to not the learning process will come with the topic for want to say Shalakya, mathematics because Allah is 4 years in all 4 subjects. Shalakya is very difficult. It is so and it is really difficult to remember. Shalakya is a score subject. So if you make the shift to get the same thing works. So if there is a question like enumerate Vatmaka according to Sushruta. sorry, again, about the disturbance. Yes, so I was telling how you have to address the Shalakya. So Shalakya need to address similar to that of mathematics, I said. So because as mathematics has a definite question and definite answer, in the same way we too have in Shalakya a definite question and a definite answer. There is no other issues with that, like with the answers. There is no other variation of the answers. So, for example, as I said, enumerative Vartmagata Roga, according to Sushruta, is already defined. There are no more than 21 and there are no less than 21. So, if you write all 21 according to the Sushruta and it is over, so that is 2 plus 2 is to 4. That is a definite answer. So, and if you do that, and the examiner has to give 5 out of 5 or 3 out of 3 because there is no other variation of the answer. Okay, so it is like a mathematics. If you study Shalakya perfectly, so then it is like mathematics. You can very easily score 100 out of 100. And then the one more thing in Shalakya is there is no concept elaboration. See, in many other topics of Ayurveda, like Ama topic is there, the Agni is there, Dhatu is there, Dosha is there. So there are concepts, and you need to elaborate those concepts in a various ways. So in Shalakya, when you come, it is more of surgical oriented, and it is more addressed by a person who the Sushruta, who is authority of Sharira. That means no logical, no concepts. It is there and it is there. That's it. So concepts are not there. So when there is no concepts, like your own things to elaborate page filling is not required in Shalakya. So what is asked, and if you write exactly with the reference, it is all over. So hence we don't like we have so much confusion with the concepts. And then as it is a clinical subject, Shalak is a clinical subject, we have so many diseases. And in Ayurveda, we have already the Purva Graha in our mind that so for every disease we need to write Nidana Panchaka. So we are very much thorough with the Nidana Panchakas. So Nidana, Samprapti, Rupa, Purva, and all we need to write. But the thing in Shalakya is so Sushruta has explained 76 eye diseases and has given only one shloka as a common nidana, Ushnavitaktasajala Pravesha. And there is no nidana, particularly a shloka or a paragraph, is given as a nidana for any other diseases. Like if you take Lagana, if you take Pothaki, so any disease you take, again one nidana, again one samprapti is not much detailed. So when any disease is asked, you no need to write all that same pattern, like or as you have studied in Charaka or Kai Chikitsa, the same pattern doesn't work here. So what works here is what Sushruta said, what Vaghata said with regard of that disease, what Pothaki is, what Lagana is, what Ancharanamika is, the exact shloka in exact words of Sushruta or Vaghata. Okay, and the exact treatment for that, it is over. Okay, in between nidana or lakshana in different way of presentation is not required. Many a times I have seen students presenting as, so consider if there is anjanamika is a question for 5 marks, so there is only one shloka. So what should I explain for 5 marks? I need 2 pages to fill. So then what they do is they write same ushnavi tattasya jala pravesha samanya nidana, and then they write samanya lakshana, and then while after explanation of all these things, at the end, at the bottom, they mention some things regard by the shloka or in the words, they mention about Anjana Namika. The entire thing what you have done from the first, writing Samana Vidana, and all are not necessary, unnecessary things. So then, so what examiner will do? So the person is trying to beat around the bush and we don't give the marks. So here, as I said, like a mathematics, answer to the point. Okay, no need of such things like narration of Nidana Panchaka is not required in Shalakya. So exactly refer the quotation of Sushruta or Varvata and directly explain the thing. And then definite thing in Shalakya what is required is, so we have so many diseases in either Shalakya first or second, whatever the disease asked in whatever the term, like if it is in Ayurveda, definitely you need to mention modern correlation for that. So it is not that we are comparing. So it is just by getting the symptoms, what we can compare that with. It helps to fill your page, and also it makes the system perfect. So hence you need to mention the modern correlation. If it is for 5 marks or if it is for 10 marks, definitely you need to mention modern correlation. And then never ever leave off treatment, whether in the question it is asked or not. Chikitsa, for every single disease chikitsa is explained. And definitely as you're writing a clinical paper, you have to mention the treatment for that. And more easier thing in Shalakya is, so we don't have Chikitsa Sutra, like one line, two line shlokas are not there, or no big things are there. So only we have, as it is a surgical paper, so we have Chedana, Bhedana, like Chedana Sadhya, Bhedana Sadhya, either, or it is a Bheja Sadhya, which is the treatment is required. So hence, it is compulsory that you need to mention the treatment. Okay, and so as I said, answer just to the point what is asked in the question. See, as we know, Shalakya, we have too many diseases, but we don't get much more explanation for every single disease. So we have no much cross references, like only we have references of Shushruta and Bhagavata, and much other cross references are not there, and more details are also not available for every single disease. So, uh, while setting the question paper itself, how they set is, see, a Lagana cannot be returned for 5 marks. So, understanding that, so they ask two diseases, Lagana and Pothiki, you write for the 5 marks. So, if that is the way of asking the question, then answer to the point. Okay, so write Lagana, write Pothiki, both. Okay, so don't try to give more of unnecessary explanation. Whatever it is asked, so answer. If classify the Varmakta Roga or any other Roga according to the Vagbhata, so just write Vagbhata's explanation. Shuklavata Roga according to Vagbhata, just write according to Vagbhata, and never ever mention Sushrutas reference. So what is asked in the question, so answer to the point. So that helps you to gain more marks because you're not deviating the examiner. And coming to the actual subject, so what are the topics important? As I said, the exam is divided into three groups. The papers will be in three ways. So if you are a student of distinction scoring, and definitely there is no excuse that you have to study every single topic from your syllabus, because any questions from any corner of your syllabus can be asked. But so if you're trying to get more marks, so this may be helpful to you. So how in Shalakya first? So we have so much of plenty of points. So in that, Samanya Nidana, Samanya Samprapti, Samanya Lakshana of Netra Roga is very important, and there is no excuse that you need to learn shlokas for this, because shlokas in Shalakya definitely gain more weightage to the answers. Many a time, if you don't have time to explain in detail, but if you have presented a beautiful shloka without any doshas, so definitely you get the marks. So at least try to learn Samanya Nidana Samprapti of Netraroga, Samanya Lakshana of Netraroga, and more importantly, the Patya in Netraroga. So this is how to prevent Chakshushya Rogas, like so how we can prevent the eye diseases. So Patya is very beautiful context for that. So Patya is also very important. And even though it is a like clinical subject, so we are studying the pathological aspects, but even in Shalakya paper, all the anatomies of Shalakyas are very important. So coming to the Shalakya first, Netra Sharira is very important because Sushruta has beautifully explained Netra Sharira. So Netra Pramana is there, Panchabhutikata is there. So every single things. So and even Netra Sandhis, Netra Patalas are very beautifully explained. And so when those things are asked, Netra Patalas or Netra Sandhis are asked, so it is mandatory that if you remember the shloka, write the shloka and enumerate them. And along with that, if you can able to make a diagram of diagram of a eye where you are labeling according to Ayurveda, like Krishna Vatmagata Sandhi, Vatma Krishna Gata Sandhi. So if you are able to mentioned such a way, so it also a good way of presentation. And definitely modern anatomy of eye is very important, because ayurveda takes every single part of the eye into a pathology. So we have a diseases of eyelid, even we have a disease of lid margin, we have a disease of sclera, we have a disease of cornea. So every krishna gata roga, vatma gata roga, shukla gata roga, every single part of the eye is having the pathology in ayurveda. So hence it is very important to learn the modern anatomy also. And where you need to focus more is all three layers of eye, and more focusing on the structures which are present in the refractive media. The cornea, the lens, the aqueous and vitreous humor, and the retina are very important. And more importantly, never miss studying the layers of cornea and layers of retina in order, because many a times it is repeated, the question is repeated. So layers of cornea, layers of retina, so for 3 marks question, and if you write in order is very helpful. And the next point, so regard of classification of Netra Roga. So this is the thing where all students stuck in remembering or studying the Netra Rogas. So because there are 76 huge number of Netra Roga experienced Vishrita, and moreover he has classified in different ways. So he has classified the same diseases based on the sites, the sthana, like Vatmagata Roga, Krishnagata Roga, Sandhigata Roga, Sarvagata Roga, like that. And also has classified based on the doshas involved, Vata Pitta giants, and Sadhya Sadhika, so whether it is Sadhya Roga or Asadhya Roga. And also has mentioned the Chikitsa Bhedena, like whether it is Shastra Chedyana, Bhedya Sadhya, Vedya Sadhya. So like that also the classification is given. So now comes the most difficult part, how to remember all that. So people who might have studied or tried different way of remembering these things, you have made mnemonics and all. But what I suggest is, so learn one thing perfectly first. So I suggest to go with the Sthana Bhedena classification. So learn all the 76 disease. Remember all the 76 disease according to the anatomical classification. So learn Sandhigata Roga, which are 9 in number, learn 21 Vatmagata Roga, learn 11 Shuklagata Rogas. Likewise, you study first. You remember all the things. For example, Sandhigata Roga, there are 9. Okay. And then go with, so make a small chart. So Sandhigata Rogas, in that, so dosha bhedena, so which disease is dominant of which dosha. So make a list of that. And then you make, so after studying every disease, you make whether it is sadhya or asadhya, or what is the treatment advised, chedana, bhedana, or what it is, veshuddha sadhya. So when you again you remember Sandhigata Roga, you need to remember all the entire picture, that so Puyalasa is which dosha predominant, Puyalasa is which treatment possible, whether it is Chedana or Bhedana Sadhya. So like that you need to able to remember. So in that context, if you remember every single anatomical classification, then it is easier if a question is right Bhedana Sadhya Rogas. So if that is a question, so then you just remember from the first. So Sandhigata Roga you remember. So then write all the remember which are the Sandhigata Roga, which are Bhedana Sadhya, and then remember all the Vatmagata Roga, and remember which are the Vatmagata Roga, which are Bhedana Sadhya. So in that way you remember, so that it will not be much of confusion. Okay, so I think it makes more better better way of remembering classification. So and Shalakya paper, there is no paper without asking a question from classification. Hence, it is very very important. Either you may get 10 or 5, 3 marks question, and there will be a different question from a classification. So hence, never miss this part. And so next, coming to as I said, based on the anatomical things only we go with the classification. So first comes Sandhigata Roga. There are just 9 Sandhigata Rogas. So it is very important to remember all 9 Sandhigata Rogas by name, and always better remember both authors' references, Vagvata's and Sushruta's reference, with regard with the number and the names. Because Vagvata, in some way, he changes the name of a disease, and at some time he increases or decreases the number of the diseases. So hence remember both the differences of acharyas. And then in ninth Sandhigata Roga, the important things are Puyalasa is very important, and along with the modern correlation, so where can be compared to the diagnosis, the both are important along with the chikitsa. So when it is asked, as I said, so when Puyalasa is asked, you have to refer, you have to mention the reference from Sushruta, exact quotation, or if you are not remembering the shloka either, so you have to mention the terms which is explained as by the Sushruta. So it is not your own modern terms. So it is not like it should be. If it is Srava, it should be a Srava. If there is a Kandu, if there is a Raga, the same words has to be put forward to explain the disease. And definitely you have to mention the treatment aspect also. And Sravas, all four types of Sravas are very important. So the classification of Sravas and the modern correlation. And one more important topic in the Sandhigata Roga is Krimi Granthi. Never miss this topic because many a times it is asked Krimi Granthi. And with the modern correlation, so the blepharitis, so it is also very important. And so when it comes to the Parvani and allergy, most of the time it is asked as difference between the Parvani and allergy. So as I said, for 5 marks in Shalakya, many questions will be like this, differences. So write the differences between. Okay, so when it is there, so then how you need to present? So write the shlokas of both the disease at first. Even if you don't explain it is okay. Write the shlokas and then make a column, Parvani, allergy, and then one by one, one, two, three, four, like that. So what is the difference? So this here also the classification works here. So while making the points, you make which are the doshas involved, next which are the sthanas involved. Many a times Vartvagata or like that differences will be there. So here different sandhi references will be there. So which is the sthana, which is the dosha, and what is the treatment difference we have. So all that thing you mention one by one, and what is the rupa difference. Okay, so what is the feature difference in the both the diseases. So those things you mention, and so uh, if possible, at the end, even you can add up the modern correlation for both individually. So that makes very clear. And as I said, so here also we don't want much of unnecessary elaboration. If there is a specific answers like this, even if you complete with a single page, it gains marks. And coming to the modern aspect with regard with the Sandhigata Roga, the most important things as comparison you can understand. Dacrocystitis is very important where the inflammation of the lacrimal sac is there. See here for all the modern aspect, the question paper may have direct question from the modern side. So even it can be from the Ayurveda side. If it is 10 marks or 5 marks question, you need to mention both the things. So the study of these modern concepts are also very important. So how you need to study for every single disease, there is a definite definition. So you need to remember that. So you should not like dacrocystitis is the inflammation of a lacrimal gland. No, it is specifically it's inflammation of a lacrimal sac. So like that, define definition of a disease important, and if it is having any types, classifications, if it is there, so do remember, and what is the cause of a disease, do remember, and presentation, how it is presented, signs, symptoms, and more importantly, how we can diagnose the disease the based on the clinical presentation or based on clinical examination, because in particular diseases we in ophthalmology it is a beauty of this department is we don't want much of the lab investigations. So only the thing is by the clinical side itself we can diagnose most of the things. Okay, so with aid of certain instruments, so ophthalmoscopy, slit lamp examination, with all that we can conclude the diagnosis at the clinical side itself. So what are such things clinically we require? Like if there is a cystitis, we should see there is a nasolateral duct blockage is there or not. So NLD patency test we need to understand each and every modern concept. And in this pattern, you need to understand each and every modern concept. And in Sandhigata most important are epiphora. Um, for the Srava, we can compare, and blepharitis for Kumitanth, you can compare, but blepharitis. So again, here the types are very important, different types, and the management is important. So this is how you need to get the modern concept in Sandhigata. And coming to the next, the Vartvagata Roga. So Vartmana again, as I said, in every part enumeration, how many diseases are there in Vartmana Roga according to Vartmata and according to Sushrita, what is the difference with the name, number are very important, and Sadhya Sadhita is also very important because so in Vartmana Roga especially, many questions like directly they ask Bhedana Sadhya Vartmana Roga like that. So hence you need to study in detail of this like Chedana Bhedana, Chikitsa Bhedena Vartmana. Okay, and then important ones are Anjananamika is important. So along with the Chikitsa is important, and even the modern compassion because so in many of the Vartmana Roga, it is just it is modern disease is not we can say it is as the same thing, but we can correlate somehow it links with like that. So Lagana and Jananamika are very important in the modern population. And coming to the Pothaki is important. And make sure that whatever the disease I have mentioned, if you can study the shlokas for that is very important because these are the things which are repeatedly asked in the question papers and also clinically also even those are very important. Okay, Kumhika is also important in here. So as I said, for every single disease, so no need to drag Nidana from the Samana Nidana. So exactly what authors have mentioned, the same thing they mentioned. And the difference of disease, what they may ask in the Vakulatha Roga is with regard of Klinavatma and Aklinavatma. So they again, Klinavatma, Aklinavatma make a two tabular column and mention dosha involved, what is the presentation, what is the treatment, what is the overall population. So these are the points you can go with. And and one more difference what you get in Vatmaka Roga is Kruchron, Milana and Dimesha. So both look like so when they give for the differences, it is almost both the disease look at one context as the same. Okay, both are same. They look like. Okay, so only one cardinal symptom or the sign will be there which is differentiating. So that you need to mention the similarities, the differences, make a tabular column to make that. Krishna Milana and Ninesha. So as the same pattern goes everywhere, the same thing. So make shlokas. So first write the shlokas and then make a tabular column to make a differences points. And Sikata Vartma is one disease which is important. So these are all the Ayurvedic aspects which are repeatedly asked. So there are 21 diseases, but I don't. So every, as I said, if you are a student of distinction holder, definitely nothing has to be left. So you need to learn everything. But as before, just to go for the exam, what are the highlights you need to touch? These are the diseases. And then coming to the modern aspects of Vartmaka ptosis is important, the drooping of the eyelid, so where it comes, the causes, so what can be the treatment, so all that is important. And entropion and ectropion are important. So here the difference between those and the stages of those both are important, entropion and ectropion. And hordeolums are important, external hordeolum, internal hordeolum. So here, for understanding of Vatmagata Rogas, like modern concepts, you need to understand the anatomy of lid very much because we have so many glands in lids. So glands of Z's is there, uh, glands of mole is there. If glands of mole is infected, in what is the disease? If glands of Z's are infected, so what is the disease? See, what is style, what is hordeolum? So those things like minor differences are there. The presentation will be different. So hence, so you need to understand those glands to understand the disease of lid. Okay, the hordeolum style, those things. Okay, and even here the trachoma is very important topic, which is very infectious disease, trachoma, and a disease where it can end up with a blindness, and it is a pandemic disease. It can happen because uh, trachoma is where it involves both cornea and conjunctival infection, and when cornea is get infected, so definitely ends with the vision. So trachoma is important because so we have a national program, trachoma control program. So what are the preventive measures for the trachoma is important, and what is the safe strategy which is explained for trachoma control. So those things are really important. Hence, trachoma directly it can be asked, or if not, if both is asked, so it is better if you can even explain the trachoma in hand. So it is not that it is exactly compared, but we can correlate anyhow. And the one more topic in Vatmagataroga, which is exclusively explained by Vaghata, is Kupunaka, so which is Kupunaka Shishorerum, which happens a neonatal disease, so ophthalmia neonatarum. So the both Ayurvedic concept with the shloka reference of Vaghata, and also very important in ophthalmology. What's the treatment? How to diagnose the disease, and what's the treatment is important. And so I'm not going in deep of every single subject because I know you have all studied already. So you just need highlights of Shalakya, so which are important for the exam. And coming to the Shuklagata Roga, so again here the same pattern goes for everything. Shuklagata Roga according to Sushruta and Bhagavata, both are important because Sushruta just mentions 11 number in Shuklagata Roga, whereas Bhagavata mentions about 24 diseases. So what is the difference? So what Bhagavata says and what Sushruta says, what are the extra diseases are explained. So in that way you need to understand. And very important topic in Shukla is Arma. So Arma is again of Shalakya first. So where the different types of armas are there, five types of arma, and the management is important because arma is a topic where so Shastra Sadhya, arma, Chedana Vidhi is explained by Sushruta in detail. So even arma Chedana Vidhi can be asked as one different question. So hence you need to understand step by step. So what are the steps has to be followed and what are the instruments used according to Sushruta, Purva Karma, Pradhana Karma, and what should be care after. So after care, Paschat Karma, what should be there. So all these in detail because many a times it is asked for 5 marks. So Arma is one of the main important topic in Shalakya, and so coming to the differences, so difference between Sirajala and Sirapidaka. So these two diseases are they have asked for difference to write the differences, and also Sirotpata and Siraharsha. See here, Sirajala, Sirapidaka. Sirajala is Jalavar, like network like framing of capillaries will be there in Shukla Bhaga. So whereas Sirapidaka, the Pidakas will be there. So from the same side, so different way of presentation. So hence, so similarities will be there. So they ask for the differences. So make a and sorry. Coming to the modern aspects of Shuklagata Roga, in Shuklagata Roga, you need to study for as a comparison for the armas. Pterygium can be most compared, or even Pingicula can be compared, but pterygium is most frequently we can it's asked in the papers and also we can compare relevantly. So you need to learn pterygium. So it is very simple. So how to understand this, how to diagnose the pterygium. So what is the treatment advised? So those things you need to mention, and even the subconjunctival hemorrhage. See, Arjuna is very commonly it is asked. So when we talk about Arjuna, so it is like one bindu like Shasha Asruk, it is mentioned in Shukla Bhaga, but it can be compared to the subconjunctival hemorrhage. But the causes for the subconjunctival hemorrhage is not always very simple hemorrhage, and definitely there is no treatment is required, but you need to understand if it is like based, so you have to figure out the answers. So the question is asked for how much of marks. So if it is for 5 marks, if it is for 3 marks, based on that you the more elaboration, more explanation is required, or you can cut off, so you can think like that. So here subconjunctival hemorrhage, if it is asked, the all different the causes for the hemorrhage has to be mentioned, and the treatment which can be advised. And again, in the modern aspect of scleral diseases, scleritis and episcleritis is most commonly asked for the differences. So scleritis and episcleritis are both are the diseases of scleral inflammation, where only the layers the involvement of the layers is involved. Like in episcleritis, only episclera is involved, and in scleritis, even the stroma of the sclera is involved with the inflammation. So like that. So differences of these episcleritis and scleritis is mostly asked. And next, coming to the Krishnagata Roga. So Krishnagata Roga, very simple one, only four diseases. It is simple one in the sense for the exam to remember. Only four diseases are explained by Sushrita. So what are those four with the names and difference between especially Savrana Shukla and Avrana Shukla. So this is very important because Vrana is there and Vrana is not there. Savrana and Avrana Shukla. So what are the different context of differences in Savrana and Avrana Shukla you need to remember. And importantly, see here, most of the Krishna Garugas are Asadhya. So only they have mentioned Sadhya as Avrana Shukla, and in Savrana Shukla they have mentioned two possibilities. So Sadhya Savrana and Asadhya Savrana Shukla. So you need to learn shlokas for both. So which are the Sadhya Savrana Lakshanas and which are the Asadhya Savrana Lakshanas. So even that only can be asked for the 3 marks or the 5 marks. So hence Savrana Shukla amongst all Krishna is very important, which we can compare to the corneal ulcer, and Avrana Shukla can be compared to the corneal opacity. So both are important. And Akshipakatyaya and Ajika Jata, both are asadhya Vyadis, but still, for the explanation, for the purpose of 3 marks, definitely they are asked. So, all four, so we can't exclude any diseases from here. So, all four are important. And compared to the modern aspects of Krishna Rogas, so the corneal ulcer, so very important. Even clinically, corneal ulcers are very important because once the cornea is damaged forever because cornea cannot be regenerated. It is a vascular structure, and the ultimate thing what we have is the corneal transplantation. Because if cornea is ulcerated and even if it is healed with the scar, that area will be opaque and it interferes with the vision. So hence, corneal ulcer is even clinically is very important topic, and even for the exam purpose, so corneal ulcers are important. So what are the causes for ulcers and how it has to be managed? The pattern of presentation, everything are important, and even the corneal opacity because cornea has to be transparent for the right vision. If cornea is opaque, if it loses the transparency, and that is the first media of diffraction where light can pass through and it is obstructed with opacity. And so the three types of opacities, nebula, macula, lipoma, based on the stages of opacity. So where nebula is very minimum and macula is where the intermediate, and lymphoma where complete cornea is opaque. So all that types are very important. And apart from that, uveitis, iridocyclitis, acute or chronic, and Ajaka Jata we can compare to the staphyloma. So all important to, like, you need to have a superficial information regard of all that. At least if it is asked for 3 months, you have to be able to write on that. Next, coming to the Sarva Akshagata Roga. So, the Sarvagata Roga we can call. So, again, the important is enumeration. So, with the prognosis, so you need to understand. And very important here in him is Abhishanda and Adhimanta. So, Abhishanda they have mentioned as a cause for all eye diseases. So, there are four types of Abhishanda. You need to study all Vataja, Pittaja, Kaphaja, and Raktaja, Abhishandas. And in any types, so directly they may ask, right, Pittaja Abhishanda. So every single Abhishanda is important, and as a complication, Adhimanta is developed. And again, we have four different types of Adhimanta, and all four types of Adhimanta is also very important. And along with the treatment, Chikitsa. So because there are a big list of chikitsa is given, so even up to Virechana, we can go with in management of the Abhishanda and Adhimanta. So hence all Uttahara modalities of treatment. So you need to understand every Abhishanda and Adhimanta chikitsa, because again, once again, you will be having no paper without question of Abhishanda or Adhimanta. Either of the question will be compulsory there in the Shalakya paper. And Anyutovada is one important thing. And so Shushkakshipaka is one important in Savargaroga. Shushkakshipaka, um, and even the difference for Sashofa and Ashofa Akshipaka. So all Akshipakas are very important. Sashofa Akshipaka, Ashofa Akshipaka, mainly for the difference purpose they may ask. And so here, apart from Sarvataroga, I have mentioned Pillaroga here. Pillaroga, classically, the group of 18 diseases are there, which are mentioned exclusively by Bhargata only. So disease which are chronic in nature or which are kashtasadhya, so which need prolonged duration for the treatment. So those 18 disease of Pillaroga, individually you have to remember by name because Pillaroga itself can be asked for the 5 marks, and and along with that the treatment, because it is not that pilaroga is whether it is a krishnagata roga, whether it is shuklagata roga, all 18 diseases are from different locations of eye. So hence all the treatment individually you need to understand. And one more difference what you get commonly is sirotpata and siraharsha. So here, Sirotpata Siraharsha, even I have mentioned in the Shuklagata Roga. So Sirotpata and Siroharsha, it is mentioned by Sushruta in Sarvagata Roga, whereas Vagbhata mentions in Shuklagata Roga. I need to get that difference also because while explaining the individual disease, so where the same name of a disease is explained in different sthana by different acharyas. So that thing you need to understand. And coming to the modern concepts of Sarvagata Roga, as Abhishanda can be compared with conjunctivitis, inflammation of the conjunctiva, and all different types of conjunctivitis are important. Maybe infective, it may be allergic, it may be fluctuating. So whatever it is, every single type of conjunctivitis, because Abhishanda if it is asked for 11 marks, or after writing all that, you mentioned conjunctivitis, or conjunctivitis can be a direct question also. So because now we have both hybrid and modern aspect questions equally, so even you can expect the conjunctivitis, and even the glaucoma is very important topic. So here the definition exactly you need to write the definition of glaucoma. So you can refer the ophthalmology by Kurana for that. So exact definition for the glaucoma, and how it can be diagnosed, glaucoma diagnosis. So what are the presentation and what are the treatments? So we have the surgical or so medical. So what are the treatment we have left for the glaucoma? So all entire topic of glaucoma is very important. And next coming to the other is dry eye syndrome. You can add like shushkakshipata, you can compare the dry eye syndrome. So what are the causes of dry eye? So are important. So these things can be asked for just 3 marks. And coming to the Drishtigata Roga, so where in all Shalakya first paper, the most uh, complicated and common diseases are present in the Drishtigata Roga because the vision loss, Tivira, Kacha, Linganasha are mentioned here. So all enumeration of Drishtigata Rogas are important according to the Drishtigata and Bhagavata. Remember by the names and differences in numbers. And Timira, Kacha, Linganasha, again the different stages uh, Prathama Patalagata Pimira, Prathama Patalagata Kacha, Prathama Patalagata, like Patalagata, the stages, what we have, all that stages, and even you can get the questions directly as right Prathama Patalagata Pimira Lakshana. So hence, getting all the features of every type of Timira Kacha Linganasha is very important. And coming to the Linganasha, especially Kafaja Linganasha is very important, where definite answer, definite treatment is mentioned by Sushruta as Vedhana Sadhya, like Kafajalinganasha, it is Sadhya Vyadhi and it is Vedhana Sadhya. And the steps of operation, the steps of Shastrachikitsa in detail we need to mention because even now, even the modern people remember Sushruta by this technique. So cataract surgery, Sushruta has a cataract surgery mentioned. So this is the thing what he has mentioned. So classically, you need to understand what is the Kafaja Linganasha Vedhana Chikitsa, how it is elaborated by Sushruta. Step by step, you need to write. So here it is just not a Vyadhana and Lekhana is there. So both the techniques are there in Kafaja Linganasha Chikitsa. So step by step, you need to understand the Kafaja Linganasha Chikitsa. Even if you can expect the same the treatment aspect of Kafazal International as a question. And and one more Linganasha is Sanimitta and Animitta Linganasha. So this is also important. So both the difference. So what is Sanimitta Linganasha and what is Animitta Linganasha, you need to understand. And Nakulandhita is one. The other apart from Tibira Kacha Linganasha, even Amla Drishida Drishti. Pitta Vidagdha Drishti. So here Amla Drishida and Amla Vidagdha Drishti and Pitta Vidagdha Drishti, they ask for the differences because where Amla and Pitta both doshas would be the similar, and what are the differences? So Amla Vidagdha Drishti and Pitta Vidagdha Drishti are both, they may ask. And other, you need to get you need to get ones with the all Gambhirata, Kulandhita, Hrisvajadya, all that aspects. And one more important topic is Nayana Abhigata. So Nayana Abhigata is ocular injuries. So Sushruta has dedicated one entire chapter for that. So what are the causes for Nayana Abhigata and what will be the lakshanas and what are the treatments? So it has explained in detail. So definitely you can have all the context and definitely what are the causes for ocular injuries, like a very common thing like physical injuries, chemical injuries. So how they have to be managed. So all that aspect. So ocular injuries are very important. And next, coming to the so modern aspect of Drishtigata Roga as Drishtigata Roga, Trimida Kachalinga, Nasha different stages are there. So we have refractive errors. So this is very important. The definition of every single refractive errors, myopia, hypermetropia, or astigmatism. So whatever it is there, so definition is important. It is not like so here the near vision is lost or the far vision is lost like that. So you need to write so where exactly image is formed. So whether it is before the retina or after the retina, so like that. So definite scientific definition is important for refractive errors. And so in detail, so what is the presentation and what you can like how it can be treated, all that. And definitely the cataract is the most important topic. So the different types of the cataract and different types of surgeries advised for the cataract. So both are important. And apart from that, different retinal diseases are important. So you need to like we can expect 3 marks question in any of these things like maybe hypertensive retinopathy, diabetic retinopathy, or macular age-related macular degeneration, or central serous retinopathy where central vision is lost and only the peripheral vision will be there. So all these concepts, night blindness, why it happens, and retinitis pigmentosa, what is that? So optic neuritis or optic atrophy. So these terminologies, at least you need to understand to define them. So where it is, how it is, because for 3 months if it is asked, so all these concepts are important. And next, so apart from that, the important nutritional thing is xerophthalmia is very important topic. So where vitamin A deficiency will cause xerophthalmia, which is presented in different stages, starting from the white spot to the corneal thing. So all that stages, different stages of xerophthalmia and how it is prevented, because prevention of xerophthalmia is taken as a national program level, and we are distributing with vitamin A supplementation to the kids. So hence, xerophthalmia is both clinically important and also for the topic for the exam it is important. So how it is managed is also very important in different stages. So if it is in the first stage of bite of spot, if it is there, what is the treatment? In the next stage, what is the treatment? Like that. So in different stages, what is the treatment? You need to understand. And apart from that, malnutritional eye diseases. See, nutrition for the proper vision for the health of eye is definitely important. So any of the nutrition deficiency for vitamins deficiency, vitamin A, or any vitamin B group deficiency, so how they affect on the eye health. So these you need to understand calcium deficiency, how it is influenced over the eye health. So these things you need to understand, and also you can mention the patya concept here because chakshushya. So which are the chakshushya? Aharas, which are the Shakshusha Viharas. So in Ayurveda also they have mentioned. And in modern wise, as I said, for Nayanabhigata, ocular trauma is also the important topic. So as the causes for the trauma is important and how we can manage in different causes. So if physical trauma is there, and what are the structures damaged, and based on that, what is the management? If chemical injuries are there, so how extent the burns are there, and what should be the management? Like that, the trauma management is also important. And apart from that, so the topic of importance in Shalakya is eye donation. So even as a social thing, eye donation, the concept is we need to understand, and ourselves we have to pledge for the eye donation anyhow. But we need to understand the concepts behind that. So what are the eye banks? So how the institutions are there to collect the cornea. The eye is the sense, the cornea, what you are going to preserve. So how the structures are preserved, how they are taken off, so all that. So where are the institution located, and how they distribute all that thing, and so how the donor's eye is taken, how it is given to the recipient, and what is the surgery it is done. So all these aspects in total you need to understand. It is not compulsory, like it is asked every time. So, but you can expect the question for the paper. Corneal transplantation surgery is also important because in eye donation it includes the corneal transplantation. So, because corneal transplantation is what we give like a vision. So we are donated the vision is a corneal transplantation what we do. So many a times the cornea will be rejected. So why it happens? Like all the concepts behind that has to be understood. And apart from that, so preventive ophthalmology and community ophthalmology. So this is like we are having so many national programs to prevent the so many diseases of eye, like trachoma, to prevent the trachoma, to prevent xerophthalmia, to prevent the blindness which are caused by other causes. So what are the programs we have? So how like cataract surgeries are given free of cost to the people to prevent the loss of vision. So like that, to prevent the loss of vision, what are the things we have as a national programs, and how we can prevent all of them. So all these things, like definitely, uh, it is not always they are asked. So definitely you can expect the question from there. Apart from these all diseases in Shalakya, first, the important and very mandatory questions what we get is from the Kriya Kalpa aspects. So we have Netra Kriya Kalpas, Tarpana Putapaka, Shrintana, Anjana, Seka, Vidalaka, Avagantana. So many Kriya Kalpas are there, and definitely you have to mention, study all the Kriya Kalpas, because only the Sthanika Chikitsa what we have for the eye is these kriyakalpas. And so how you need to study? So definitely study by the definition. So how acharyas have mentioned. So what is tarpana? So define it. So what is seka? Define it according to the acharyas. And then get into the procedure. So like purva karma, pradhana karma, pashchat karma. So how it has to be done. And then definitely for the matra kala. See if you're doing the tarpana, how long it has to be kept, like drug has to be kept over the eye for how long, seka, how long it has to be done. So matra kalas are very important according to dosha, according to kala, prakriti and all. And if it is mentioned by the class 6, so indications, specific indication, and contraindication, when we should not be, it should not be done. So it's very important. So those things you need to add as points. And if possible, if you can able to write the mode of action of every Kriya Kalpa. So that completes your writing of Kriya Kalpa answers. So hence all the Kriya Kalpas, like I don't say it is important, it is not important, but definitely in every Shalakya paper you will be having any of one or two maybe Netra Kriya Kalpas as your questions. So do concentrate on Kriya Kalpa. And apart from that, coming to the examination part of I, see these are like you need to understand, because many a times any single instruments is asked for the like ophthalmoscopy is asked for 5 marks, like that it will be there. So hence what are the examination tools we have in eye clinics, like so to check the visual acuity, so how we can do it from distance vision or for the near vision, so how we can do it on subjective way or the objective way, so that you need to understand. And slit lamp examination, so why it is used and what are the things we can examine through the slit lamp. So what is direct ophthalmoscopy, the instrument, and what we can get through the direct and indirect ophthalmoscopy and what is tonometry and what is implantation and skewer tonometry. So how we can record the pressure of the like IOP with the tonometry. So these are under the section of examination of eye. These tools are very important, and even the technique of to check the patency of nasolacrimal duct. So how we can check that? So those things were also very important. So clinical aspects which can be asked for the questions in the papers. So this, I think, can complete. It can complete the entire big syllabus of Shalakya. So as I said, Shalakya, you need to uh, get them specifically. Like specific answers should be there, and you can't beat around the bush anyhow. So hence, definite answers definitely will score you the exact marks. So coming to the Shalakya second, where we mostly study the Shirorogas, Perogas, Nasarogas, Mukharogas, and in Mukharogas we have different parts of rogas like Dantaroga, Dantamulagata Roga, Jivhagata Roga, Oshtagata Roga, Talugata Roga, Kantha and Gala Rogas. So if you see this big classification, again big number in every single classification. For example, Shirorogas, so many Shirorogas, so many Karnarogas, Nasarogas are so many in number. So how you remember again? So don't be panic. So go with definite numbers of every single rogas. How many Shirorogas according to Sushruta? How many Shirorogas according to Vadhata, like that. So in Shiroroga, what is the importance of Shiras? So why Shiras is important? So that is a question can be asked, and enumeration of Shirorogas both by Varghata and Sushruta. So there are difference. So hence you need to get all that. And Samana Nidana is explained for the Shiroroga. So go with the Samana Nidana. See, Samana Nidana for Netra in Shalakya first, Samana Nidana for Shiroroga and Karna Roga in second paper. Mandatory shlokas you need to learn because you can expect those questions. And Samanya Chikitsa for Shiroroga is also expected. And in all of Shirorogas, the important things are Vataja Shiroroga, so which are like very much similar to the Ardha Vedaka. So Vataja Shirashula, Ardhava Vedaka important. And for all these, you need to learn shlokas if possible. Ardha Vedaka, Suryavarta, Kshataja Shiroroga, because beautiful shlokas are mentioned by Sushruta, and and all these are definite questions in second paper, and you can like never have a paper second without any of these questions, or either Adha Vedaka or Suryavarta or Vataja Shirashula is will be a definite question. So hence learn these Shiroroga if possible along with these shloka. So again, Kshataja Shirashula is very important because where he mentions a different dhatu and what Kshaya will lead to the Shiroruga. So hence that is also an important question. And the others are Krimita Shirashula is also important. And Anantavata. Anantavata, so only it is mentioned by the Sushtaka. So Anantavata is also important. So classical way, what Sushtaka told exactly that way. So if you mention it is good. And and then coming to the other part of Shiroga is Kapalagata Roga, so which is only mentioned by um, Bhagavata. So nine Kapalagata Rogas are there, and if you see, all are important because we can expect any of those rogas, but importantly, Indarutta, Dharunaka, Khalitya, Palitya are important. So repeatedly, we can expect these questions in Indarutta, Dharunaka, Khalitya, and Palitya. And compared to the modern aspect of Shiroroga, so all different types of headaches, migraine headache, tension headache, trigeminal neuralgia or cluster headache or sinus headache. So all different kinds of headache, how to address them. So what is the treatment available, and so what we can do in Ayurveda. So all the things you can go with. Um, Coming to the Karna Roga, see when I mentioned Indralupta, Dharunaka and all, even the modern aspect of the same, like Indralupta, alopecia is mentioned, Dharunaka, dandruff is mentioned. So very simple thing, but so definitely you need to address those things also. And coming to the Karna Rogas, so again here as we went with the anatomy of eye, in the same way, Karna in anatomy is very important, brief anatomy of all different parts of ears, middle ear, external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. So in detail, because internal ear anatomy can be asked. So any part of the ear anatomy can be asked. So we can expect that. So that is important. And the examination of the ear, clinical side. So how we are going to examine otoscopic examination. So that is you may expect. And here again, as I said, Samana Nidana. So what is our Shanya? So is there a shloka? So you need to get the Samanya, Nidana, and Samanya Chikitsa for Karnaroga, because in Chikitsa also there are so many sthanika kriyas for Karna, like Karna Purana, Karna Dhupana, Karna Pichu. So those are there. So in that Samana Chikitsa, like the sthanika Chikitsas you can add on. And the important Karna Rogas are Karna Shula, that Karna Shula is very important along with the Chikitsa, and Karna Shveda, Karna Nada tinnitus, where we can address for because of water, and the difference between Karna Shveda and Karna Nada. The Bajhirya is one important, so where we can compare to the deafness. So Bajhirya, the types of Bajhirya, Chikitsa for Bajhirya, so all that. So these are the highlights of rogas in Karna Roga in all. And the Karna Srava, all the Karnarogas. If not, importantly, Karnasrava, Badhurya, Karnakshveda, Karnanada, Karnashula. So these things, if you refer, definitely the questions you can expect from this section. And Bhuti Karna is also important. And apart from this general Karna Rogas, so importantly, they have mentioned Karna Paligata Roga. So Karna Paligata Roga, so those are also important, and its management is also very important. So and so we have a otoplasty, rhinoplasty, where Sishtata was an efficient in that. So those things are also important. Was it NASA? Bandhana. So those things are also important in Karna and Nasarata Yoga, the Sushrutas techniques. Okay, and apart from that, if you want to refer to the modern context, so otology causes, so where primary causes may be there, or referred secondary cause. So pain at the site of ear or pain referred from other site. So otology causes. So the treatment for that, and both ASOM and CSOM, so acute suppurative otitis media or the chronic suppurative otitis media. So these both the concepts are important because directly they may you can get the question ASOM or the CSOM, or even if Karnasrava is asked, you can cross refer these contexts. And deafness, so important. What are the causes for deafness? The types, different types of deafness are there. So which are those, and how we can address the deafness, and how we can prevent the deafness. So all that thing, and tinnitus, and even the foreign body in ear, how we can extract. So these are the points of highlight what you have to see for. And even the national program for the deafness control, because there in India. So what is that and how it works? So all that has to be looked forward. And apart from that, coming to the clinical aspect, examination of ear. So examination of ear, otoscopic examination definitely you need to get, and more importantly, tuning fork test is very important. So all different types of tests, relay test, Weber's test, what is the difference and what is the outcome of that. So all that is important, and many a times you get the tuning fork test for the papers as a definite question. So hence go with that the test. Okay, and apart from that, the sthanika chikitsas, what we have for the karna rogas. So karna purana, karna dhupana, karna pichu. So even karna purana, many a times it is asked for the 5 marks or even up to 11 marks. So even there, so we don't have classically like as we have Tarpana in detail, it is explained in classics. So we don't get classical detailed references, but even so, how it can be classically presented. So the procedure, the indication, contraindication, all that has to be explained with the procedures. So this completes the Karna Rogas in brief. And coming to the Nasa Roga, again the anatomy of this, both the nose and paranasal sinuses are very important. And coming to the Nasa Rogas, importantly, Pratishyaya is important with all the types, different types, and where ultimately it ends up with Dushta Pratishyaya if it is a chronic condition, and the Dushta Pratishyaya management is very important. Okay, and NASA Naha along with the treatment, where we can compare that to the DNS deviated septum, and what is the treatment available, how it can be treated, and Shavat with the treatment, one important, and the difference between mm sorry, apart from that, Putinasha and Apinasa. So among all, these are also important. Nasagata rogas. And coming to the modern aspect, see, every single disease is important. So the highlights and frequently asked questions are these. And modern aspect, rhinitis, so sinusitis along with that, and different types, and the management for that, all management of all that. And apart from that, the polyps, nasal polyp. See, NASA Asha is very one common question frequently asked. NASA Asha. So how it has to be treated? The treatment for nasal polyp, both in Ayurvedic and modern way, because even the Asha treatment explained by Sushruta in different four different modalities like Bheshada, Chara, Agni, Karmas are there. So like that, the modern management is also important in understanding NASA Asha and nasal polyp both together. And DNS, deviated nasal septum. So what is the surgical procedure explained for DNS, that is important. And examination, when we come to the nasal examination, especially uh, PNS examinations are important. So how you can examine different sinuses, so it is important. And foreign body nose, so the extraction of foreign body, different ways available. So those are also important. So in brief, that was the Nasagata Roga. And coming to the Mukha Roga, again, enumeration, the classification along with all types, as we said, Danta Roga, Danta Mulagata Roga, Jivha Roga, Osha Roga. So all with the names, if it is if you can able to remember, just to do it, because Dantagata Roga, it is asked for 3 marks. So at least you can write the names by name, eight Dantagata Rogas. So hence, at least if you can remember all the diseases by name along with their classification, it is good for your exam. And in Oshtagata Roga, among all, so important is Oshtakopa Lakshana and Chikitsa. Oshtakopa is important, and the cleft lip, modern aspect, the cleft lip is important. Surgery which is available, so why it happens. So this is important topic. And coming to the Dantagata Roga, Dantagata Roga in all Krimidanta, very common caries of tooth is important. Hanumoksha, so is also important. So the treatment for Hanumoksha which is available, and uh, Danta Kapalika is also important. Danta Sharkara is also important. Important means it is not that you are going to get definite question on that, but it may be asked like that. Dalana, very rarely it is also asked. And importantly, frequently asked question is Jalandhara Bhanda. So what is Jalandhara Bhanda, the throat clock? So technique, so it is asked, and the use of it is also important here. And going to the next, Danta Moolagata Roga, all uh, gum diseases mostly we are going to learn here. Enumeration of all Dantamulagata rogas, especially the Upakusha, and difference between Sushira and Mahasushira, and Dantanadi, so the fistula where it is formed, and Vidradhi, the abscess, so Danta Vidradhi, so and the common modern correlation, gingivitis, apical abscesses, and periodontitis are very it is not, I say it is very, very important. In Shalakya's second paper, I can say Nasagata Roga, Karanagata Roga, Shirogata Roga. All the disease from this section are important, because the more than 50% of the questions from of this side. Okay, and only we can 30 to 40% will be from the other side. So hence those things are important. So here, even Juhagata rogas are there, enumeration of all Juhagata rogas, Juha, Kantaka, Upajivhika, Atijivhika, difference between Upajivhika and Atijivhika, and you need to understand what is Ranula or tongue tie. Just like if it is asked for 3 marks, you have to be able to write on it. So like that, so these things are important in tongue diseases or Jivagata roga. And coming to the Talugata roga, enumeration, especially Kachapata Talu and Galashmundikas and Talu Arabuda. Many a times it is asked Talu Arabuda, the cancerous conditions. And the common modern concept here is cleft palate. So you need to get the why cleft palate is like the cause. So it's the presentation and when it has to be treated and how it has to be treated. All that in the Talugata roga you need to go with. And Kantagata roga and Galarogas together, if we can say. So in enumeration individually, Tundikeri is very important where we can compare that with the tonsillitis and we have detailed explanation regarding that with the Chikitsa aspect, Tundikeri Chikitsa, where even you can go with the Shara Karma. So hence Tundikeri is most frequently asked in the papers, even Galaganda we can expect the types, the Chikitsa, and Shatagni and Swaragni. So commonly we can ask, so it can be asked. In modern aspects, so the throat infections different like tonsillitis, pharyngitis, laryngitis, adenoiditis. So the foreign body in throat. So like foreign body in airfoot passage. So all these minor things are important. Important means so we can expect. So we can't quit. So such type of things these are. And next, Sarvasaramuka roga. So again, enumeration of the diseases or Sarvasaramuka roga, and the important is Mukhapaka abscesses. So can be expected for 3 marks, and Urdhaguda, Puti Asyata. Sorry, that is Puti Asyata. Stomatitis, commonly stomatitis, the modern concept. So these things you can look into. So these are the diseases where you have to address. So definitely you have to look into the topics of Shalakya second. And coming to the Sthanika Chikitsas, explained for Shalakya second. So Nasya is very important. Even you have learned in the Panchakarma, the same thing has to be presented in Shalakya also. So Nasya, all types of Nasya, Purapura Pradhana Karma, indication, contra indication, everything regarding Kavala, Gandusha. So those things are also important. The difference between Kavala and Gandusha can be asked, and for 3 marks, any of these chikitsas, Kavala, Gandusha, individually can be asked, and all four Bhutni Taila. Many a times it is asked for 3 marks and 5 marks. So Shirodhara, Shiropitu, Shirobasti, Shirobhyanga. So very these things. So you need to explain along with their indication. The procedures, how it has to be, definite procedure, the difference, what is Murgi Pichu and what is Murgi Shiropichu or Shirobasti, what is the difference like that. So you need to understand all four types of Murgi Taila in procedure aspects. And apart from that, the important things, as already have said, all the national programs, because many a time we can expect the national programs on deafness control or blindness control or malignancy control of oral cavity. So what our country has put forward the national program for all that. So just go with all that aspects. Before I thank for listening. So apart from this, even we don't have certain yogas like Deepika Taila, Kshara Taila in Karna Roga, Chandrodaya Varti, and Pitika Churna, Kalaka Churna, Saptamrita Loha. So like this, few of yogas are there, so which can be asked for 3 marks. So even you have to focus on those aspects to learn the yogas. So while writing the yogas, definitely you have to mention the ingredients, how it is prepared, and indications with the dosage and anupana. So if it is internal yogas like Saptamrita anupana and dosage are important, and other, so how it is used, like how it is used. So mode of use. So those things you need to mention. Okay, so I hope I have completed all first and second topics in brief. your
Hello.
exams. Yes. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That was really a wonderful session and a knowledgeful session also. So, ma'am, shall we take the questions if there are any from the viewers?
If they are there, so if I can answer, definitely.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure. Thank you for that.
If are
Uh,
there,
so I
is it?
requ so I request all the viewers to start posting your questions in the chat box if there are any in regarding the examination or the subject. So I'll be reading that out to ma'am, and ma'am will be answering that. Thank you. Ma'am, we will wait for 2 to 3 minutes. If any student posts the questions, I'll be reading that out to you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, I think there are no questions from the students. That means they have understood every bit of the lecture to the core. And one last thing we would like to ask from our side, ma'am, is to Dalo Expo.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, there's a question actually. There's a question just popped up. The question is, ma'am, for 10 marks Ayurvedic disease, is it necessary to write modern correlation also?
Yeah, definitely. 10 marks question. Any Ayurvedic disease is asked. It is definite that you need to mention the modern correlation. Um, Not only for 10 marks question, even for the 5 marks question, at least you need to mention the disease, what we can correlate with, and in brief the treatment. For every 10 marks question, if it, direct disease is asked, the modern correlation, and for that disease, what is the treatment available has to be mentioned. So that completes your presentation. So it is necessary.
Ma'am, and the next question is vice versa. So the question is, if they ask modern disease for 10 marks, is it necessary to write Ayurvedic disease also? Just opposite of what
No,
the
here the question
question.
is opposite, but answer is not opposite. For 10 marks question, if direct the question is there from the modern side, so there is no need to write the Ayurvedic aspect. So it is no need. If you think like you have less information and you want to fill the page, you can add on the comparison, but it is not necessary. So direct question from the modern side, direct answer from the modern side itself is enough.
Um, Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the answer. And one last question from our side. What one thing you would like to
Thank you.
suggest for the exam going students to face the exam bravely despite of the outcomes and to face it the exams bravely, ma'am? What you would like to suggest the students, and we would like you to wish the best of them, the best for them, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am? Um, so I was asking, ma'am, like, what are the things you would like to suggest for the exam going students to face the exam bravely, despite of the outcomes and results?
So I think when it comes to the fourth year students, so I think they have experienced three already used exams. So what I suggest is, don't be panic considering it as it is your last UST exam and I have to clear it at once, and that stress will not be there. Because yes, of course you need to clear, because otherwise you're going to lose 3 or 6 more months. So it matters, but still don't be panic considering that. So be brave. Exams are like so they are the hurdles of your life. You have to jump it over. Okay, and you will do that. So they are not the ultimate destination of your life, and getting more marks, getting distinctions, or getting ranks are not mandatory. And I don't say you should not try for that, but should not like fix your mind desperately to achieve that, because they're not actual life success points. So definitely you need to make over successfully the exams, so that keeping in mind, don't make stress, don't be panic, and especially coming to Shalakya, definitely just to before the exams, don't try to remember the classifications, and again because there are so many diseases that so together both Shalakya first and second, again remembering, so confusion is created more. So I say, so go to the hall with a calm mind and be focused and try to remember. Even so, if you have attended your lectures in your colleges, definitely everything comes in memory when you are sitting in the exam hall with your peace of mind. If you are not stressed, so even if you have not read it, so if you have heard it in your lecture class, so even that comes in your mind, so that keep your mind calm. That's what I suggest.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a beautiful piece of advice you just gave. So, thank you for the most most knowledgeable and informative session on Shalakya exam, ma'am, for guiding the students to write the exams. And on behalf of my whole organization and my whole team at Jignasa, we would like to extend our warmest gratitude and thanks to you, ma'am, for agreeing to deliver a lecture series on the Shalakya exam, given the time constraints and the busy schedule you had, ma'am. And also thanks for arranging the lecture on Panchakarma, ma'am. You helped us in getting ma'am also like
Yes.
arranging the that session also for Panchakarma session for fourth year students. Thank you for both the delivering session and arranging another session, ma'am. We are really grateful for that, and in future also we look forward to collaborate with you. We look forward to work hand in hand with you to help Ayush fraternity, to help Ayurveda students in various aspects. We would look forward to organize various things with you in future also, ma'am. And once again, thank you
Yes.
for everything, ma'am.
Thank you so much for Team Zigyasa, and also I'm really sorry from the bottom of my heart for inconvenience from my side what happened in the today's lecture. I'm really very much thankful to the entire Team Zigyasa for giving this great platform. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for those words. I request your permission to end the session, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, viewers, for joining us today. There will be another session on Panchakarma starting at 8 p.m. Uh, we request you to join for the same. Thank you.